Doc, sorry. We know that birthdays are important,
Right.
but June 19th is also another important date on the calendar,
Yes.
which is World Sickle Cell Day.
Yes.
And it's important for us to discuss days like this and create the advocacy as well.
Right.
Because it is important that this conversation will drill down to relationships at the end of the day, one way or the other. And right now in 2025, relationship is at the top of the food chain when it comes to part of the achievements of young and old people. People want to get involved. People want to get married. People want to be in relationships. Girls want to get backbones. Boys want to be the bones. If you understand what I'm saying, it's up to you. If you don't understand, to a few moments later. So it's important for us to have this conversation and tone it down to the understanding of, and I really want to center it on relationships, because
Right.
for our demographics, relationship it's at this point in time in our age, not mine, but in our audience, that they want to start building relationships with people. But now it's not about how he looks like or how she looks like. It's no longer about what he wears or which car he drives or which area he stays in or which school he attended, sex school or unisex. It's not about any of that any longer. It's about the health condition also of the person you are getting involved with. Doc, how important is it for us to understand sickle cells?
Before we begin, we want to say
a big thank you
and shout outs to those who are living with sickle cell, because we know it's a challenge and we know what goes into it, and they are survivors. We call them heroes and they are warriors, because it's a day in, day out condition that you need to manage and take care of yourself. Now back to the question at hand. It's very important, fundamental, as you said. Relationship is at the top of the food chain, and also being the fact that as we from the Christian fraternity, the advocacy there is that you need to replicate or multiply, right? Now, in multiplying, you need to understand the fundamentals of it. Whereas you said, you need to understand the person you're partnering with, what leads to the genetic makeup of the next generation that comes after you. Is it going to be problems? Are you going to have hospital care, frequent hospitalization, which increases financial burden, which increases emotional strain between you and your partner? Now, the other question too is that those living in sickle cell, are they also left out? Because when they say, I'm living with sickle cell, I'm sickle cell patient, does that mean that they're out of the equation when it comes to relationship and marriage? That's another difficult question that we need to address. Because anybody who wants to be with somebody with sickle cell needs to understand the condition which the person is dating or marrying into. Because you need to understand the pain crisis, you need to understand the symptoms that they go through, the challenges. Because we call it the burden of care. Because in the end, you become their primary caregiver. So if you didn't go into a relationship thinking that I'm going to be a primary, ideally when you marry or you decide to settle down with somebody, you become the person's primary caregiver, right? That's why you go in and say a sickness or in health and all that. So you know very well that when a person is ill, you are need to, and apart from that, we being social human beings, the word is empathy. Having empathy for your kind or your brother, you need to understand that when a person needs your help, you need to be there. So even forget the relationship aspect. Any relationship where involves somebody who has sickle cell, you need to be able to be there for the person. But certain things they can do for themselves, some things that they can't do for themselves. You need to be there and help them out, right? Then another aspect that we also need to look at today is the fact that how much does genetics play a role?
Okay.
How much genetics does it play a role? That's when we do the calculation where if you are AS and AS, right, then it means that both of you are carriers, and in the sense that you have 25% chance of giving birth to a child with sickle cell.
Okay, Doc, let me hold it right there before we detail that. Let's go back to the first point. Do people disclose their status when it comes to, if they are in general, before I even come down to sickle cell, their health conditions, before they go into marriage? Do you find people coming up to the health facilities to have such conversations that maybe I'm getting married, Doc, and I want to be sure that you want
to come for
No, I wanted to ask, because it's in line with the question that Jay is asking, because I want to know, like, at what point should two people who think they're interested in each other disclose this information or find out that
you pay the school fees?
because you don't want you don't want to wait till you get to a certain point where it's like you're all emotionally invested, or you've invested in other ways, and then find out that okay, maybe you have this condition and maybe I'm not willing to deal with it, or I'm willing to deal with it, because I feel like those conversations need to be had.
That's why you have to have the conversation early on, very early on, or right when you think that you start having feelings for somebody, or you both go and get tested if you don't know what your status is too important.
When you both have feelings for each other, not because I start having feelings for you and
no,
then
but one person
I walk up to you and say, please can you go?
No.
Before I proceed with my emotion.
What I meant what I meant by that was, for men and women, if one person starts having feelings for the person because you guys talk, I don't think it's just
in our part of the world,
in your talking stage is what I mean.
Right.
I don't just mean like I see Chris, then maybe Chris starts having feelings, then he just come and tell me that Lenny, let's go and get tested. Or I start having feelings for him and I say, Chris, let's go and get tested, without any prior notice of mutual.
So the question is how early and how.
So just
apparently,
so that you're not too emotionally invested before then you guys can't.
It's really heartbreaking, isn't it?
It becomes heartbreaking.
When you've gone to the point where you look at this is the person for me, this is my person, and then you find out that maybe churches allow you to. There's a form you fill when you're ready to settle down, and you go in and do the test, and then this is not compatible. Your doctor tells you there's a lot of risk here, right? Now, you ask the question. It's supposed to be told early, as she said, but it's not done, because I mentioned that in the emotional aspect, the fear aspect of it. The person has been waiting for so long, been telling people I'm sickle cell, and nobody's coming forward. People keep leaving.
Oh.
That's the problem with people living sickle cell, that they deal with emotional. Let's forget the health aspect of it, but the emotional, psychological and aspect of it is that nobody wants to be with them out of fear of not understanding the condition.
Okay, go ahead, Lenny.
You see, to what extent should they be handled when it comes to emotions? Because I don't think that people also want to go down that rabbit hole of constantly, or the possibility of having children. It's not, and then also let's know that it's not every sickle cell person that will give birth to
it's a chance. Yes, a chance. Yes,
it's just a chance. I think 1 in 4.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. But how do we handle them? Emotionally, because then. Also, not everyone wants to get into a relationship knowing that there's a possibility or probability that my child is going to be sickle cell, or one of my children will be sickle cell, and that's a lifetime of care, right? And if that care is not taken, and you don't even have the finances to take care of that child, you may lose that child along the line.
Then please, just to add to that, not even just like the possibility of having a kid that's might be sickle cell, to just even the pain that the patients themselves have to deal with, and then you having to be there for them throughout.
To watch.
It can actually weigh on your relationship. So if you're not ready, if you're not strong enough, if you don't care enough for the person to say that, I know that this is the situation and I choose to stand by it whatsoever, then so just to add to Lenny's question.
All right, so I'll deal, as you said, the aspect of it that is even very, very important at the beginning is what we call the intimacy and physical challenge. Because of their condition, they easily get tired, fatigued, they easily lose interest, and so physical intimacy is a bit difficult. So if you are with a partner who is, and part of relationship is being intimate with each other, right? So with marriage, you're supposed to be intimate, and here's the case: your partner is not really up for it most of the time. That's another one. Another thing is very difficult for them to communicate how they are feeling, because you can't tend to understand how much pain they are in when it comes to a crisis, right? Now, we talk about sickle cell. I want to go back a bit, digress a bit, and talk about the fact why we call it sickle cell. It's the idea that your cells, your red blood cells, are supposed to be disc-shaped, flattened and disc-shaped, allowing for the attachment of AGB, hemoglobin, and carrying of oxygen to other parts of the body. Let's do that quickly. Now, when it becomes sickle cell, it becomes sickle in nature, like a C. Yeah. It means that it's not able to pass through your blood vessels really well. So it comes to clog the blood vessels, which then causes the pain.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? Because the anemia, the fatigue, and it leads to and this also causes them to be really, really immunocompromised. So something like a flu can really shut them down. Sometimes baby has a common flu, like I sneeze and they can't be here because the immune system is really shut, right? And then another thing too is that when it comes to them, things that we eat that we take for granted, they cannot eat certain things, and they easily get anemic, right? So all this in line with maybe a woman who has a sickle cell, it means that when it's the time for a period, just imagine what's going to happen. You get it? If something cuts her, right? If she's injured in some way, if she has an infection, it means you become the caregiver.
And even for women as well, I heard that when they have children, like the women with sickle cell, when they have children, it also reduces their life.
Yes.
Some way, somehow.
Yes, because they lose strength. It's sort of like you're losing a bit of your life. A part of you is going away because you're already not strong enough. Pregnancy and childbirth and childcare is a whole thing that women, like, it takes a very strong man to undertake.
No,
right?
let me, yeah.
But when we talk about
happening
when we
to
talk
your
about
voice?
when we talk about the relationship
want to-
aspect, the emotional aspect we're talking about, right? Imagine there's somebody living with sickle cell, and the chances of you having a child, and you explain this to the partner that I have this disease, I've been treating it, and right, there's medications for it and all that, and I'm treating it, but the chance that when we have a child or we marry, this is going to happen. Now, apart from you, the man or woman, knowing very well that if you have a child, the child is going to with sickle cell, it means you're going to spend more time in the hospital financially and all that. Forgetting that another problem too is that you and your wife also, you can lose your wife or your husband.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Because apparently there's what we know, there's some have their timelines. We know their life expectancy is really, really short.
yeah.
That's why I say that those who, like, they're warriors.
Okay. Doc, I want to ask us all this question. This is
Right.
away from science and medicine. And I do not know our individual health conditions. So I'm sorry if this touches on anybody's. Would you proceed if you found out that your partner, and this is your, when I say partner, I'm talking about somebody you have plans to settle with, is sickle cell? I want that very honest opinion answer from us. If you sat in your room alone, knowing that this is what is ahead of you, would you proceed, and why? In 2025, June 17th.
Lenny, do you want to go first?
What is
Yes.
what is your mind on this? If you found out that your partner was SS, I mean, that's deep sickle cell, right?
Yeah, that's like,
Deep sickle.
Like that is full.
S is like
So we have
Full-
SS and SC. So you have, like, the
Yeah.
most common and severe form is the SS. Then you have
SS.
the milder form is the SC. It comes
Okay,
with
so
a
I'm talking
sickness
severe
and- yeah.
form, which is
Yeah,
SS.
then you have the AS is a carrier. They don't carry
What is
anything.
your
It's just a
what
carrier.
becomes your mind at that point in time?
I think that if you know your genotype as well, that's also adds to
Yes, yours is very important. Yes.
yes
So
the decision you make. So
because if she's AA,
if
it's
the
not a
person
problem.
is AA,
It's no
you
problem.
can't go ahead with that.
Let's
partner
assume that. Don't give me one
who's
that's a problem,
SS.
please.
Yes.
So if it's
Yes,
emphasize I'm
if-
going
let
to-
me know.
Answer.
I don't give any
No, I answered.
specifics.
She's coming to answer her
I
part.
answered. I said
she
yes.
said
Yeah, yes. She said
I
yes.
said yes
So-
before I started to say what I just said. So if you are AS, you know that there's a possibility that you'd have
carry.
an
50%,
SS,
yeah.
yes, child. So that one you can't go ahead.
No, I don't mean.
But if
I'm talking you.
yeah, I've answered though.
No. The answer you are giving me is contradictory
I
for
said
me.
yes. I said yes before I said whatever.
Okay, so he wants to know your reason.
Yeah, it's because
Why you are saying-
in a post answer you are making reference to another person, like you shouldn't.
So,
I'm
yes,
saying
why-
that
For
if
me,
it
yes.
were
Why
you,
would you?
if you were, let's say, AS
Yeah.
and then he were SS, you proceed.
No, I will not.
You will not proceed.
I won't proceed.
Would that be a heartbreak, eh?
It's difficult.
It's
like,
a
people
difficult
go
conversation.
through-
It's
Yeah.
serious.
Could
It's
you
a
go
very
through
difficult.
that a lot. So
Yeah. That's what I was actually looking for. That's what
if,
what would you
if
do?
I was AS and he was SS, or if I was SS and he was AS, no, because you are putting yourself and
Both
your,
of you,
your
like-
children at
Could
risk.
you, where do you
your
stand with
family,
this?
those
Your
support your
family,
system.
right? Yeah.
We're talking love over
Love over health.
So I
What God can do.
I happen to know a couple who were one was SS and one was AS, and they still got married. They actually still got married, even though their families were against it. And I mean, I think the lady got pregnant and then she died, like through childbirth,
Jeez.
right? So that was later. But like we're all saying here, I think that it's a very difficult conversation
Will you?
to be had.
I'm coming down to it. He's not
It's a
answering me.
difficult conversation to be had because I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, if you're, I don't know, Jay. I don't know because if we're looking at everything, I don't know.
All cards on the table.
Because
your doctor is saying it, your family is saying, like,
everybody's speaking
yeah.
against it, and then the way I feel about the person,
Yeah.
once is a hell decision. I mean, would you rather see the person alive or would you rather see them dead? Like that's the.
All right. So when you make that, so is it a yes or a no?
I don't know. It's a tough one.
It's,
Like
I
for
don't
me, because
know.
because
Okay, so
my honest response is I don't know. I would really have to find myself in that situation.
So it means that our listeners and our viewers right now, everybody should post it and write it. Is it a yes or no? If you are AS and SS, are you going to?
That's
and
what
your
I'm
reason.
saying. I don't know because
What
I'm
would they
very
be
big.
for?
I'm
I'm
big
interested in
on
what they will be for.
I want to see
Jay.
your comments. What do you say?
Even though he's already,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
very
married
big
and
on
all that.
like.
What would they have been for you?
I walk away.
You walk away. Yeah. Even
Jay,
if
that would be
there's
for me. That would be a
possibility.
difficult thing.
It's one of the most difficult. See,
Like,
I said unless you
walking
get
away
somebody,
is, like, gonna
unless you
be
get
really,
somebody in that
really difficult
situation,
for
right?
me.
Unless you get somebody in that situation, and you interview that person, you understand this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's a deep. We
Because
sat in front of some of them, and even we having a conversation with them about this will not work.
Have
This
to
is the
break up.
like, it's difficult for us.
Yeah.
Because you can sometimes see the love, like you can really see the.
That's what I'm
Because some walking and then they are playful. You know, some couples are very playful with each other, and they are laughing and making. And while sitting in front of you, they are saying all these things, joking, and you know very well that what's in the paper you're about to deliver.
It's bad news.
It's heartbreaking because also imagine that you guys are 2-3 years.
You were
in,
trained and examined on breaking
5
bad
years
news.
in.
We are trained and examined on breaking bad news. That's how serious it is to break bad news in our healthcare system. There are people who avoid it. Doctors dodge.
Yeah.
People don't want to go. Nobody wants to. Like, do you want to be the reason why people shouldn't be together? No, you're like a laugh killer.
The last image they leave is of
It's you.
Yes. You
And
know,
then you're on TV. Look at me.
It's-
I'm on TV. Somebody
He insult himself.
I'm on TV. Somebody says, "Hey, that's the guy who."
yeah, it's,
Nah.
it's like you said, the doc. It's really a very hard conversation to
But
have.
there's a solution now.
Yeah. Okay. There's a solution. now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, what
Wow.
you can do for you now, you can adopt, or you can do in vitro fertilization with it's expensive. So adoption is there, or you do a
Taking the sperm of another or the egg of another somebody who is one of those givers, right?
right.
So that means that the man or the woman likely might not be living with the child of that is not of them but of the woman's.
Possibly the woman,
Charlie.
possibly the man.
People are going through it, doc.
Yeah.
So, Doc, what are I also just want you to touch on the possible combinations, right? Should someone be SS?
So the thing is,
What are the
in vitro
possible-
fertilization with pre-implantation genetic testing. So we do IVF, then we do a PGT. So what you do is that before the conception starts, you do a genetic testing to see if it's AS or they're going to get AS, SS. If it is, then you terminate. So you do the combinations first and find out the one that is then you insert.
Okay, but Doc, you were talking about solutions.
I wanted the
Yeah.
No, so the solution
Yeah,
is that adoption
combos.
for them. If they want to have children, adoption, like they go ahead and get married, but they'll choose to adopt, or they choose to do the in vitro fertilization with the pre-implantation genetic testing, or you do, as you said, you find a surrogate. So if the man is probably AS, you find a surrogate who is AA, and then probably let him. Or if the lady is SS, you get somebody who is AA, and then as you said, you end up with. It can lead to a lot of problems. So sometimes people prefer to do adoption. So some adopt family members, like maybe their siblings.
No, so let's do that. I mean,
open to
Lenny's. I
adoption.
want to take you back to Could on Lenny's combo.
What's your comment?
if someone has SS,
Right.
Yeah, what are the
The
safest
combos
combinations
that
and
they
the
can
ones you can
be
stay
with.
away from?
So SS, your options are limited to AA. That's it. You end at AA because of the combination. Because if you do the SS times the A, you get AS, AS,
SS.
AS. You don't get
So
SS.
Doc, just as we have dating sites where people pair up like that,
Right.
do people come to the hospital saying that
Database?
I'm looking for a database, somebody who is AA who wants
No,
to settle
we don't
down.
have it. We have that information, but we can't release it.
Confidential.
It's confidential. Because when you did your test with us, it was for your ears and your eyes only. So that's it. Unless you want us to disclose it, then unless you do a dating site or an app where it tells people
I
to write
think
their
maybe they should
yeah.
do that. They should do that. But
I like the way they have the Christian ones and the Jewish ones. Yeah.
maybe they should. It's an idea for our tech guys. But I wanted to find out. I was looking it up, solutions and stuff, and I saw some therapies, the Cascavy therapy and the Livgenia or something.
Yeah, all these are that like they are still under research. Even we are even getting to a point where people are even thinking about genetic deletion, where we go straight to your DNA structure, the main form, and we delete those structures that form diseases. There's a research into that where we are trying to preempt conditions.
So editing.
So you have like, DNA editing. So you just take out, replace it with a good one, sort of thing. Like it's so movie and futuristic. But I think when we get there, I don't know what we're going to do now.
Wow. This is a really hard conversation. I
Is-
mean,
see-
we might
See,
think it's
pastors have that conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes the reports we read it, but sometimes we staple it and give it to them to give it to our pastor. Because
Right.
sometimes
For
I don't want to have that
those doing
conversation.
counseling.
Yeah, so the counseling, the form is there, so we staple it. We tell you don't open it, and you have to take it to your man of God or your counselor to sit there and then write our numbers there for him to call us. Because, as you said, if you invested 5 years, 3 years, families know each other, and then this comes. People have said dates before.
Adoption.
People have set dates before their marriages, and it had to end.
No, also because for some of these people as well, they are going through counseling. So once you are going through counseling, that means that you've already
on
made
your
up your
way,
mind.
yeah.
to
I'm talking about
settle
those, the
down
windows
with
outside
that
counseling.
person, and then now this happens. It's just
And some we find out during pregnancy.
oh
Yeah, because it's part of our, when you're pregnant, we need to check all that.
Yeah.
Eesh.
So we do the HIV, STIs, we do the screening, we do all the paneling and everything to make sure.
Doc. Let me ask you this 4 minutes to time. When doctors or health practitioners do tests, like maybe I feel sick, I've gone to the lab to do a test. I come to test for malaria.
Right.
Do you go ahead to test for other things not related to malaria without the knowledge of the patient?
No. Any lab that we do for you, we are supposed to explain to you why we are doing it and what results we are expecting. And if it is not there, this is what we do. Right. So we explain to you why we are doing it. We don't just go ahead and test somebody for HIV without the person's consent.
I didn't mention that too, but that's
yes,
do that, we're going there.
it happens. People have asked me that question a lot.
Okay,
We don't do that.
okay.
It's unethical. It's so serious that if you and your partner came in for a test, right, and your partner tells me to test you for HIV, I can't do it. If
or
you
even
want,
if you both agree, you can't show the results.
I can't
to
show the results
partner.
unless both of you agree. Do you want me to
Yeah.
say the results in front of both of you?
Yeah,
If one of you says no,
that's it.
game over. One of you steps out.
With this HIV testing, right? I keep saying that no matter how innocent you feel you are, when you're going in for an HIV test, you still carry this sense of
It's crazy. People collapse.
I don't know. I know I've said this before, but in one HIV test that I did, so the lab technician is whatever doing whatever it is about it, and he says, you are J Foley, right? I said, Masa. I said, all right, dude finishes. Yeah, so we laugh, we chat, he does it. And then we go to the reception, and he said I should wear a reception. So I'm sitting at the reception waiting. I'm there. Then the lab technician walked out to the receptionist and drops the envelope. I presume was my results to the receptionist. And whilst he's there, he's filling the form, and then he stares at me like this, and he looks at me like this and continues writing. I'm like, why is this guy doing that? Then what worsens the case is that then he can't see behind me. He didn't say anything. He can't see behind me. So at that point, I wanted to ask him
bro.
if you want to talk something, talk that to me. What's he doing? Then she called me. The receptionist called me, and please say come. But the way she was so calm about it, I'm like, yo, what are you posting now? Are you people scaring me or what? But nothing was.
But it's so bad that even as
like,
health practitioners,
yes.
right? When we do our tests for the HIV screen and everything, right? It's so bad that people don't go for their results.
Charlie, they had pains.
Oh my days!
Yeah.
Have you tried doing one before?
I think when I was in uni,
Okay.
Yeah, there was a health screening. So
We are trying to.
Let's get.
I think this year 3 will do the advocacy. Everybody's getting tested.
We need
good.
to.
Hey, let's
We are good.
we'll show the results this time. We are fond of
Show results to you.
That is a private. It's a private thing. Your results. It's your private
no,
thing.
Kojo's
Okay?
results is public. Kojo's results in anything is public.
We're going to do a national ID where people have like their genotype and their HIV status and everything on it. For like that would be crazy. Because
Hey.
like relationship, you know those things where they do speed dating,
Yeah.
where you go from table to table,
Yeah.
you get them like
no.
No.
like
Yeah.
no, but like
Also, very soon, ladies, if guys walked up to you and then it was like, hey, I want to take a number, I like you. Say, Masa,
Positive or negative?
Masa, please let us discuss your genotype.
yeah, and people are lying these
Before-
days.
about that
Some
as
guys
well.
are lying.
Yeah.
Some ladies are also lying. People have not gone to
About
the
their HIV status or
no
genotype.
the genotype. They've not tested. Most people don't even know the difference. When we see we trade around genotype, phenotype. What does genotype mean?
Yeah.
Right? People don't know what it is. So if you don't know what it is, please walk into any lab. They'll do it for you. I think it's by now at a certain age you should know your blood
Should
group
know, yeah.
and you know your genotype and your if you are sexually active, your STI status, whether it's gonorrhea, syphilis, whatever it is. You just get it done. Know that. So it's 3.10. You know your blood group.
Yeah.
And I feel when you know your blood group, please keep it on your ID. Write it somewhere in your wallet or somewhere. Keep
So
it
don't
somewhere.
forget, yeah.
In case something happens to you and it's emergency, we can just look at it and know what blood to give you quickly to save it.
Right.
Because sometimes it takes time for us to test your blood to get your, it's time. So if we know, that's why some married couples, you should know about your partner's genotype and his blood group and things he's allergic to. You can have some clients come and is your husband allergic to penicillin? Is your partner allergic to? They don't know.
You're asking all these things, yeah.
They don't know. You need to know these things. And if you're a parent, you should know that of your kids.
Yeah.
And parents should let your kids know. Because sometimes it gets to a point where the table stands where your child becomes your caregiver.
Yeah.
Your primary care becomes because sometimes when you're writing, you are filling forms for bank accounts, you write who is your next of kin. Some of us have become our parents' next of kin. And some of us, our parents are our next of kin. Right? So you need to have that information. Unfortunately, I had a situation where my dad was in a place, we needed to know that. And I didn't know that information. As his son was a doctor, I didn't know that. And that was embarrassing to me.
Yeah.
Right? But it's also on my part to know that I need to ask. Daddy, what's your genotype? What's your blood group? Right? Because some people think that it will tell you whether the child is your child or not. No. It's not enough.
Doc, thank you for pulling through on this last call. Very important. Thank you so much. Really appreciative of that. And it's a conversation worth having. June 19th is World Sickle Cell Day.
In 2 days time?
Yes, and
So you guys have
this is our contribution. Yes, we start the contribution as well on this advocacy and then the awareness as well. Thank you so much.
So awareness what? Know your status.
Know your status. I know, right? And to the persons, like you said in the beginning, to those who are already in it, who are still fighting, well done. That's what we can say. And to those who don't know yet, it's important to get checked before you walk into such spaces. Doc, thank you so much. Kojo, we will check your results. Thank you so much. We're back here same time tomorrow here on Culture Daily. Peace out.
Bye.